Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the expert interview series. And tonight I have two special guests. It's going to be really fun because I love having my one guest on, but it's really fun when there's more people. So these girls are amazing. They are both experts in stress-free living, and they're going to teach us a really cool technique that is actually going to help you stop or actually identify and release a stress trigger. And we were just trying to record or to go live with this episode, and it didn't quite work. And I was stress triggers. So there's a lot of triggers in our life that sometimes we don't even recognize. So let me just welcome you both, Kassy and Dawn. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes, we're very excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is great, and I love that you're outdoors. I'm pretending to be outdoors in the cherry trees. So, let me tell the audience a little bit about you. Dawn and Kassy are with Stress Free Living, and they want to free the world of stress so that people can live happier. And so they're going to be sharing a simple technique, like I said, that can identify and release stress triggers. So Dawn Ferrara is a certified coach and an expert at stress management, and she combines 20 plus years of corporate experience with entrepreneurship. She teaches the science and the art of learning how to identify, address, and eliminate stress in everyday life. We all have so much stress in our everyday life. I think we're just so used to living with it. So these girls are going to really shed some light on it. Now, you can find Dawn more on LinkedIn and Kassy more on Facebook. Let me tell you a little bit about Kassy. Kassy Cooper is a certified stress management and integrative NLP coach, professional trainer, and speaker with over 15 years of corporate sales and coaching experience. Her passion and energy have led her to create methods that remove career and personal stress and replace it with high levels of success. And like I said, you can find her more on Facebook. I always ask my guests what they take a stand for. And they said, we stand for self-empowerment by providing tools that are simple and easy. So many people can implement them easily into their daily lives. And their goal, their vision is to make the planet a happier place in each moment. And I love that vision, ladies, because that's my vision. That is, my vision is to bring more joy into the world. And, we're all contributing in different ways. So this is so fun. I love this. So why don't we just start off by having you girls tell us a little bit about, what you're doing in your local areas and what you have planned, and then we can jump into the method.
Sure. Sounds great.
Okay, I'll share a little bit. We're finishing up a workshop series down here in Florida, where we offered some information and techniques on relieving stress, as well as information about energy and the chakras. So that was really great. Lots of insights and some real breakthroughs for the individuals that participated in the class. So lots of fun doing that. And we have some upcoming events where we're going to be offering some online retreats to give people flexibility in participating. And next year we plan offering a retreat on a cruise. So we're very excited about that. Yeah. So more details to come on that.
That's great. And what we'll do at the end is I'll post a website link or whatever links you want to give me, and so everybody can make sure to know where to find you. So Kassy.
Yeah. So we actually have been working on building. We have a stress-free living Facebook page. And we just built a private group that goes along with that. So we invite everybody to come join us. You just find us Stress-Free Living. It's Stress-Free Living for Life on Facebook. Join that group, and then the private group is free to anybody who wants more information about just how to live their life stress-free.
That's such a great resource, and we'll put the link again. We'll put the link up in the so people can just know exactly where to find you. So, you girls, how long have you been working together?
For just under a year.
Yeah.
How exciting. So you're on the beginning to big, great things, and you've already done some, I mean, workshops, local workshops are so much fun, and just seeing the ahas. What would you say the biggest like insights are that you're seeing with the people going through your workshops?
You know, it's interesting. There are some tears and some clearings and some acknowledgement of some of the things that they really didn't realize they don't have to suffer through any longer. And when we teach some of these methods that are really quite simple, they start to apply them. And each week that they come, you can see a shift. They're smiling a little bit more. They share some observations or just some realizations that have just changed them, you know, just over the past few weeks. And to at least to me, I mean, and I know for Kassy too, that's just something you can't quantify. You just feel so good that you've been able to help another person, and it actually ripples out into their environment. Some have children, some have spouses, some have just, you know, family members that are around them, and they've noticed shifts in them. So it's just really powerful, and we just love to just keep doing more and more and more. So yeah, I'm very excited.
I love that. And you know, it's like people are, when they learn how to take control of their own lives and learn that struggle isn't really necessary, it's like there's a load lifted off. And it's not controlling everything in your life. It's not controlling your environment. It's controlling how you're reacting. And it's really freeing. Wouldn't you say? It's like, that's freedom right there.
Yeah, it's liberating. It's like you just feel these burdens lifted off of, you know, not only ourselves as we do the work, but we watch it come off the individuals in the classes. Free themselves through different processes that we teach them. So
it's beautiful. How exciting. So I want to know what you're going to teach about today.
So today we're going to talk about what we call the ETC method. And ETC stands for emotional trigger control. What happens in us is there are different things in our environment or around us that trigger the stress response. So number one, once you recognize what your stress triggers are, you have complete and total control over yourself. To keep yourself from losing control so that you can move through that stressful situation in control without losing it, without crying, without blacking out, without
panic attacks. That's great. That's great, because there's so much anxiety in the world. I mean, people have anxiety and they don't know where it comes from.
Right. And then sometimes they overreact to things that aren't even the stress triggers. It's just their stress levels are so high that something then comes along their path. It might be a crying child, or, you know, someone coming home a little bit, you know, out of sorts from work, and they snap. But meanwhile, that wasn't even really what has happened. Just their levels have gotten so high. So this sort of teaches you the method that we're going to teach you teaches you how to catch it quick within seconds, so you can control it before it gets out of control and those chemicals in your brain start to, you know, pulsate. So
fire. Okay, great. So help me again. What is the name of ETC?
ETC, emotional trigger control.
I love that. That's great. Okay. Well, how do you do it?
So first you have to start by recognizing what your triggers are. So the way to do that is, next time you're faced with a stressful situation, just pay attention to what your body does and how your body reacts. So it's different for everyone. Some things that people experience at times would be like your heart starting to beat faster, your breathing increasing. Some people get their neck turns red, or their face. Maybe they feel hot. There's lots of them, but those are some of the main ones that we hear a lot of our clients talking about, are how they know they've been triggered in some way.
Yes. Yes. It's funny because my sister and I were talking one time, during the holidays, and it's always stressful with family dynamics and all that stuff. And we're both, at the age of, perimenopause or going through menopause. And so the flushing is, part of that. But it's like we flush when there's a trigger. It's like truth or lie, which but yeah, I mean, I can relate to all of those different body reactions, tightening, and just for me, it's not breathing, not remembering to breathe.
Yeah, holding your breath. Lots of people do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you know your triggers, that's important, because once you know them, you can start to control them. What happens, kind of the science behind it, is those triggers are signaling that your brain has thought there is some sort of threat in its brain. So it's a fight or flight response. I know a lot of people have heard of the fight or flight response. Well, that response lives in the prehistoric part of your brain. The problem with that is that the prehistoric part of your brain has never been updated. So if you think about your cell phone and how you have an update every once in a while, well, your prehistoric brain doesn't have that.
It's still the rotary phone.
It's still the rotary phone.
So keep us safe, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So a threat that could be as dangerous as way back when these responses were formed in your brain, like a lion is attacking you or something really crazy like that, is the same response that your brain has when you get an email with a subject line that says urgent.
Yep.
So it's really, your brain responds the same way no matter how big or little the threat is.
And then you have those rush of chemicals that you feel.
That's right.
Yes. The problem is, if you've ever experienced a time when you have lost control, you've blacked out, you don't remember what you said, you don't remember exactly what happened, that is part of this stress response. Once those chemicals flood your brain, the natural response is that your prehistoric brain cuts off your thinking brain, because it doesn't want you thinking, it wants you reacting. So it's part of your natural biology that happens.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and that's so interesting. But it happens subconsciously.
Yeah, and it happens really, really quickly. You don't realize that it's even happened, and all of a sudden you might say something you didn't mean to say.
Yeah.
Right, it's those, I wish I would have said.
Yes, exactly.
So if it's subconscious, our reaction, how do we know? How do we learn what the triggers are?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. That's where the ETC method comes in, because once you recognize your trigger, so as soon as a potential threat, a foreseen threat enters your scope, if you know that means for you, your heart starts racing or you start holding your breath, as soon as you can start recognizing those things, then as soon as you recognize your first trigger happening, you can actually put a stop to the chemical release using the ETC method.
Wow.
And your triggers would be different than Kassy's triggers, who would be different than my triggers. It's just, and that's why it's really important to start to become very aware and conscious of what are the things in life that push your trigger button. It could be traffic for someone. It might not faze someone else. It could be, like she said, you get an email that says urgent from your boss or something like that. So that's the first step, figuring out what are your specific triggers. Once you start to identify them, then you start to see the correlation in your body. And then you can start to do this, which are the next steps, which stop it.
Yeah. Okay, so we identify, we notice we're going through life, and all of a sudden we see something that's like, or whatever your trigger is, whatever that is, you notice your body starting to react.
Yes.
Okay, that's the awareness part. And then we do this.
So step number 1 is oxygenate. So Dawn, tell them a little bit about the breathing.
Yeah, so there's box breathing, which is very simply when you breathe in, you make your abdomen come outward. And you can do it in a cycle of 4. You breathe in, make that abdomen come out. You hold for 4, and then you release it for 4, hold for 4. And you keep doing that. And this is a way of breathing. You can do this all the time. You do not need to wait until a trigger hits, because what happens is the more you learn it, your body just starts to breathe like that all the time. So that's the first step. Catch yourself. Something's getting triggered. You're starting to feel that. Start doing that belly breathing. Don't breathe from the top of the chest up here. Go right to the belly. It'll immediately calm the entire body and the system and the brain. Everything calms it right down.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just seriously, that is just that technique right there is amazing. And I was sharing with you before we started that I use that when I'm up at night and I can't sleep, or when I'm, whenever I'm having that brain, where your mind is just going, and
the monkey mind.
Yeah, you want to calm it down. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And you're just flooding your bloodstream with oxygen. So you're keeping some of those chemicals from releasing because you're flooding with oxygen.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Okay.
So that's step 1 is the oxygenate. Step 2 is triggering your conscious mind. So one way that you can do that is by naming your stress or your stressor. So you're calling attention by naming it in some way. There's lots of different ways people do this. You can say things like, I see you there, in your mind. You're talking to yourself and you're like, I see you there. Or you can give it an actual name. You could be like, okay, Martha, time to stop. Or, I've heard people say, no more stress. You're saying something to yourself that is calling your conscious mind's attention to the fact that you've been triggered.
I love that.
You're naming it to call attention to it.
Some people even just say enough.
Enough.
And it's like, it's just a stopping point for your brain to say, oh, wait, what's enough? So you don't let it continue on.
Yeah, just stop.
Stop's even a great way. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, or you've got this. That's a really empowering way to do it. You've got
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I'm writing these down so that I can recap afterwards. So we've got be aware of your body, oxygenate, flood it with oxygen by box breathing, and then name the trigger. By acknowledging it, you're bringing attention to it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now, the next 2 are all about triggering both sides of your brain. So you want to make sure both sides of your brain are recognizing that something's going on.
Okay.
So you have to make sure you're doing something that touches into that emotional side of your brain. So the easiest way to do that is touch.
Okay.
So you have to choose what is easiest for you. So it can be something like tapping your fingers together, because you can do that really easily and nobody even notices that you're doing.
Yeah.
Some people will take and just rub their arm like this, or their legs. Tap your toes. Or let's say you're in a meeting and you're sitting across from someone. It could be as simple as shifting your weight in your chair.
Okay.
You're doing something like that.
Does it need to be the same thing every time?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
But if it is, then it also serves as an anchor for you, which is important.
Yeah. It's like, so we do the like the baseball thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because the brain starts recognizing it as a way for you to say stop reacting. So if you're doing the same thing every time, then it serves as an anchor for your brain to connect to.
I love that.
But it can be different depending on the circumstance.
Yep. Okay.
And then the other part is then you engage the more analytical side of the brain. So you can do a quick math equation. Don't do something as simple as 2 + 2, because that you're not really thinking. But maybe, 16 - 5, where maybe you have to think a little bit. Just engage that other side of the brain that requires thinking. Not not the touch piece now. You want to engage the other side. And all of this is happening very, very quickly.
Yes.
This is within seconds. So, you notice the trigger, you see your body starting to, maybe you're not breathing for the way, for example, how you said you do it. So you name it, you breathe, you do the math, you do the touch, maybe the same consistent, maybe the move in the chair. And it all happens very, very,
very fast.
Very fast.
And then I always say the best way to kind of just set it in place, it's kind of your I've got this last step. And that is to have some sort of facial expression or something you do with your head that is just kind of like your final anchor for yourself. So for me, it was always like just a smile. Mm-hmm. I would always, someone comes at you, you feel triggered, and then I would go through this whole thing, and then I would just end in a some people, it's a tilt of the head. It can be whatever's comfortable for you. You want it to be something that's comfortable for you, because if you're not, I smile a lot. If you're not a big time smiler, someone might be like, why are you smiling?
I love that. So just to recap, so we're gonna get both sides of the brain going. So touch, something with touch, and then some kind of math equation that's not super hard but not super difficult.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter what steps you do this in.
Not necessarily.
Because it's all going on kind of like at once. So you're breathing, you're doing, okay. And
it's happening really quickly within just a few seconds. Once you get it down and you keep practicing, it's really quick. And it's the order may change a little bit, so if it's a very serious situation and someone's saying something to you, maybe the smile isn't appropriate. So like Kassy said, just, like tilt your head, like interested, but that's your body acknowledgement. Okay, this is I'm in control. They, no matter what they say, I'm inside, I'm centered, breathing, I'm engaged. Both sides of my brain are engaged. Mm-hmm. And what happens is all those floods of chemicals are not being funneled through the brain and through the body. Mm-hmm. So, because if they do, once those brain chemicals start going in there, it takes about 20 minutes for the brain to calm back down and the body to calm back down. That's a long time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once you've lost your thinking brain, 20 minutes before it's back. So that old saying of walk away is actually really important.
Yeah. I love that. When back when I was like younger, I would get so upset and not, I guess black out. Like I wouldn't know what I wouldn't even hear the person talking, and I wouldn't even know. It's like, it's like that blank area. So this would have been really good. And I think there's so many things in our daily life that we could use this with, right? I mean, we just get stressed. There's so many stimulus out there that causes more and more and more if we don't know how to handle it. So this is awesome. Is that the last step? Then you just the tilt the head.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's through it again real quick.
Okay. So once you recognize you're triggered, oxygenate, call attention to it by having a name for it or saying something in your head to yourself. Do some kind of emotional trigger, so like touch of some kind. Then trigger your logical side by doing some sort of math problem or counting or something triggers your logical side. And then finally have your last step where you have that set facial or head thing that you do that is just kind of your I've got this power move, if you want to think of it that way.
Just be belly breathing or the 4 square breathing through the whole process. And eventually that's actually going to become just part of how you live your life. Mm-hmm. That really is the best way to breathe all day, every day, so it just starts to become routine. Yeah. You probably won't even think about that step as part of it. It's just going to be how you breathe. Yeah.
And in the beginning, it's thinking through these steps. Yeah. But once enough, you get to the point where you do it automatically, and it's just part of who you are. And what you'll notice is people start saying to you, "You're always so calm. You handle every situation so great. How do you do it?" And it's the ETC.
Kassy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like you. I wish I had known this, 20, 30 years ago, or even as a kid, and that's part of what we're doing too. We're actually teaching some of the younger girls this now too at, some centers and things like that, so that they don't end up, maybe reacting to something that they can just, if given maybe 20 or 30 seconds, they can calm themselves down and stay centered. So, yeah.
So important, because the work that you're doing is really bringing back your own control of your own being, and so that you can enjoy more. And I love what you're doing. It would be great to have a little card.
Yeah.
Steps on it, right?
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like on the back of your business card?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Important too. I want to, everyone, we always get this question, so you might as well just say it, is you're not trying to hide the stress. Like, you still have it. It's still inside of you. So it's still really important when you go home at the end of the day to release that somehow. A great way to do it is to get out a blank piece of paper, write down all those frustrating things that happened during the day, just get them out of your brain, and then just rip it up and throw it away and release it out of your body, so it's not just hanging on you.
That's so important. The joke was, when I worked in as a dietitian, was I'm going into the walk-in freezer, and so yeah, I mean, however you need to get it out, it's matching that energy that just needs that energy out. So
exactly.
Love that. Great tips, ladies. My goodness.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
Glad we could share it.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. And so what we're going to do for the viewers is we're going to put up a couple links, and you can tell me what they are after we're done. But I want people to be able to get to your new Facebook page, and to any of the exciting things that you have coming up. Maybe you have a link to that, but just so that they can get to know you, where to find you and where to find information, because you guys have some really great practical tips.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, no, I love it. And thank you so much for being here again with me. And anytime, we could do this anytime. This is why I love to interview people, because I get to learn all this stuff.
I love to share. So thank you for letting us share. We love to share.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome so much. And for the viewers, thank you so much for watching. And if you like this, feel free to share it, because there's so many people that could use this information. It's short, it's practical. It's like, we all need this stuff. So I really encourage you to share this everywhere you can. And okay, well, thank you so much. You girls stay here while I say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you next week on Wednesday.
All right.
Bye.